Hey guys, tonight we dive into a story that's equal parts heartbreak and hard-won triumph. A tale of betrayal so raw it'll make your skin crawl, and a comeback so fierce it'll leave you cheering. Picture this, James, a quiet bookish kid growing up in the shadow of his golden boy brother Michael, who's got their mum wrapped around his finger and a knack for making James's life hell. Fast forward through years of bullying, and just when James thinks he's built a perfect life with his wife Emily and son Henry, Michael swoops in to steal it all, wife-kid the works. But now with millions on the line, Michael's begging for a handout. How did it come to this? Let's find out. Before you settle in, hit that like button and subscribe if you're vibing with this, and drop a comment with where you're watching from and what time it is. Love seeing who's out there in the world with us. Now dim the lights, maybe grab a snack for that soft crunch in the background, and let's step into James's world together. You're James, born into a family where the air feels thick with unspoken rules and lopsided love. It's the late 90s and you're a scrawny kid with glasses always hunched over a book in your room in a modest suburban house outside Chicago. Your mum Susan is the kind of woman who hums while she cooks her apron dusted with flour. Her smile warm as fresh bread, but it's rarely for you. That smile, those extra pancakes, the soft, oh, he didn't mean it. Excuses, they're all for your younger brother Michael. He's 2 years your junior, with a mop of blonde curls and a grin that could charm a snake. Susan calls him her little prince, and every time she does, you feel a pang like a splinter you can't quite dig out. You're not jealous, not exactly. You love Michael in the way you're supposed to love a brother. But you're starting to notice how the world tilts in his favour, and you're the one left scrambling to keep your balance. Your dad Robert is a different story. He's a truck driver gone for days at a time, hauling freight across state lines. When he's home, the house feels louder, fuller, like it's trying to make up for his absence. Robert's got a booming laugh and a temper to match a man who'd rather wrestle with life than think it through. He and Michael are cut from the same cloth, rough, boisterous, quick with a joke or a jab. They'll toss a football in the backyard, Michael dodging and weaving while Robert hollers, "That's my boy." You try to join in once, but the ball slips through your hands, and Michael's laugh, sharp, mocking, cuts deeper than the fumble. Robert claps you on the shoulder, says, "Stick to your books, kid, and it's not mean, but it stings." You retreat to your room where your dog-eared copy of The Hobbit waits a world where quiet heroes matter. The family dynamic is a machine, and you're the cog that doesn't quite fit. Susan expects you to help Michael carry his backpack, share your snacks. Let him borrow your Game Boy even though he never returns it. He's younger, James. She says, her voice soft but firm, like she's explaining gravity. You're the big brother. You have to look out for him. You nod, because what else can you do? But Michael doesn't reciprocate. He takes, and you give. And the math never balances. Once you spend a week saving up quarters to buy a new comic book, only to find Michael's torn the cover off to make a paper airplane. You yell, and Susan sighs. He's just playing James. Don't make a fuss. Robert's not there to see it. And when he is, he's too busy roughhousing with Michael to notice the quiet way you clench your fists. School doesn't help. You're in 5th grade, Michael in 3rd, and already he's got a pack of friends who follow him like he's the Pied Piper. You're the kid who gets picked last in gym, the one who'd rather sketch dragons than kick a soccer ball. Teachers like you're polite, you turn in your homework, but liking doesn't mean noticing. You're invisible, except to Michael, who seems to see you only when there's a chance to make you squirm. At home, he'll barge into your room, snatch your pencils, or borrow your favorite sweater, leaving it crumpled and stained with ketchup. You try locking your door, but Susan finds out and makes you unlock it. Family doesn't keep secrets, she says, and you wonder if she knows how much that hurts. The house itself feels like a stage for this uneven drama. It's a 2-story brick home, nothing fancy, with a sagging porch and a backyard where dandelions outnumber the grass. The kitchen is Susan's domain, always smelling of onions or cinnamon, a place where Michael gets extra cookies and you get a pat on the head if you're lucky. Your room is your sanctuary, a small space with a creaky bed, a desk piled with books and a window that looks out on the neighbour's oak tree. You spend hours there reading or drawing, trying to drown out the sound of Michael's laughter downstairs, the kind that feels like it's aimed at you even when it's not. Robert's recliner in the living room, worn and patched with duct tape, is where he holds court when he's home telling stories of the road, while Michael hangs on every word. You listen from the stairs, wanting to be part of it, but knowing your place is on the edges. Favoritism isn't a word you know yet, but you feel it heavy as the textbooks in your backpack. It's in the way Susan brushes Michael's hair from his eyes, but tells you to fix your glasses when they slip. It's in the way Robert buys Michael a new baseball glove, but forgets your birthday until Susan reminds him. You don't hate them for it. You love your family, even Michael, with a loyalty that's as stubborn as it is bruised. But there's a quiet resentment building a slow burn in your chest that you don't know how to name. You're 10 years old, and already you're learning that love doesn't mean fairness, that being good doesn't mean being seen. You try to make sense of it. Maybe it's because Michael's louder, brighter, like a firecracker that demands attention. Maybe it's because you're too quiet, too content to fade into the background. You wonder if you're doing something wrong, if there's a trick to being loved the way Michael is. You try harder help with chores, get straight A's, even offer to teach Michael how to draw, hoping he'll see you as something other than a target. But he just laughs, calls your sketches nerd stuff, and runs off to play. Susan smiles, says, "You're so patient, James, but it feels like a consolation prize." The years stretch on, and the pattern holds. By middle school, you're taller, but still skinny, your glasses thicker, your books heavier. Michael's still the star charming teachers and classmates alike, while you're the kid who eats lunch with a novel propped against your milk carton. Robert's home less often, his roots longer, and Susan's focus on Michael only sharpens. You're expected to be the responsible one, the one who doesn't need watching. You're so independent, Susan says, and you want to scream that you're not independent, you're just alone. But you don't scream. You swallow it like you've swallowed every slight, every overlooked moment. You keep your head down, your grades up, and your door closed. You tell yourself it'll get better, that one day you'll find your place somewhere. You're not just the big brother who's supposed to take it. You don't know it yet. But the weight of this family, this unspoken hierarchy, is forging you, shaping you like iron in a fire you can't see. And somewhere deep in the quiet of your heart, a spark is waiting, one that'll burn brighter than anyone expects. For now, though, you're just James the kid on the outside, carrying a resentment you're too young to name in a house where love feels like a language you'll never speak fluently. Michael's always been a storm, but now, as you hit your teens, he's a full-blown hurricane. You're in 7th grade, he's in 5th, and the gap between you feels wider than ever. His charm, once just a kid's trick, has sharpened into something meaner, more deliberate. He's not just taking your stuff anymore. He's invading your world, picking at the parts of you that already feel raw. You're taller now, but still lanky. Your glasses a constant target for his jabs. 4 eyes. He sneers loud enough for his friends to laugh, their voices echoing in the school hallway like a pack of hyenas. You hunch your shoulders, clutch your books tighter, and keep walking, but each word lands like a pebble in your shoe, small but impossible to ignore. At home it's worse. Your room, once a sanctuary, isn't safe anymore. Michael's figured out how to pick the lock, a trick he learned from some kid at school, and now he's in there when you're not rifling through your things. You come back from the library one day to find your diary open on your desk. Pages creased, a mocking note scrawled in his handwriting. Dear loser, nobody cares about your dumb feelings. Your face burns, your hands shake, but you don't confront him. You know how it'll go. You'll tell Susan and she'll sigh, her voice soft as a pillow. Oh, James, he's just teasing. Boys will be boys. Boys will be boys. Like that explains the way your stomach twists, the way you start hiding your diary under your mattress, even though you know he'll find it again. He doesn't stop at words. Michael's got a knack for sabotage, little cruelties that sting more than they should. One morning, you pour cereal into your bowl, only to hear a clatterstone, small and smooth, mixed in with the flakes. Michael's across the table, smirking, while Susan's at the stove, oblivious, humming as she flips pancakes for him. You pick out the stones, eat in silence, and later find your favourite pen snapped in half ink bleeding into your backpack. You want to scream, to throw the ruined pen at him, but you don't. You clean it up, buy a new one with your meagre allowance, and add another layer to the wall you're building inside. School is no escape. Michael's in the same building now, and he's got a crew, loud, swaggering kids who think he's a god because he can talk his way out of detention. They target you not because you've done anything, but because Michael makes it fun. Loser, they chant when you pass in the hall, Michael leading the pack, his grin sharp as a blade. You try to ignore it. Focus on your grades, your sketches, the fantasy novels that let you escape. But it's hard when your locker's been filled with shaving cream, your gym clothes accidentally tossed in the trash. You tell a teacher once and she talks to Michael, but he plays innocent, all wide eyes, and I'd never do that. Susan backs him up when the school calls, saying you're too sensitive, that you need to toughen up. You stop telling anyone after that. The worst comes in 8th grade when you're at your lowest. You've been struggling, school's harder. Your glasses make you feel like a walking target, and the loneliness is heavier than ever. You're not sleeping well. Your thoughts spiraling into dark places. One day, after Michael and his friends corner you behind the bleachers, he leans in, voice low and cruel. Why don't you just do everyone a favour and off yourself? He says the words casual, like he's suggesting you try a new soda. His friends laugh, but you freeze the air sucked out of your lungs. You don't cry, not there, not in front of them. But when you get home, you lock your door and sob into your pillow, the words looping in your head. You don't tell Susan. You know she'll say it's your fault for provoking him. You don't tell Robert either, because he's on the road and you're not sure he'd care. You start to change, though you don't see it yet. The hurt is still there, sharp and constant, but it's mixing with something else, anger maybe, or a stubborn need to survive. You spend more time at the library, not just for books, but for the quiet. A place where Michael's voice can't reach you. You join the art club, sketching dragons and warriors, each line a small rebellion. You're not fighting back, not yet, but you're carving out a space that's yours, even if it's just a corner of a sketchbook. Michael notices, and it bothers him. He doubles down, stealing your drawings, tearing them up in front of you, calling you Picasso with a sneer. But you keep drawing, keep reading, keep building that wall brick by painful brick. Susan's dismissal stings as much as Michael's cruelty. You try talking to her once after he pours juice into your backpack, ruining your homework. Mum, he's not just teasing, you say, voice shaking. He's making my life miserable. She's at the kitchen counter chopping carrots and she doesn't look up. James, you're older. You should know how to handle this. Michael's just spirited. Spirited. The word feels like a slap. You want to tell her about the stones, the diary, the words behind the bleachers, but you don't. You see her face, the way her eyes soften when she talks about Michael, and you know she won't hear you. You walk away, the carrot chopping rhythm following you like a heartbeat you can't escape. Robert's absence doesn't help. When he's home, he's distracted joking with Michael or fixing the truck in the garage. You try to connect, showing him a report card with straight A's, hoping for a good job, son. He glances at it, nods, says keep it up, then turns back to Michael, who's bragging about a soccer goal. You're not invisible to Robert, not exactly, but you're background noise, a kid who doesn't need fixing because you don't make trouble. You wonder if that's the problem. You're too good, too quiet, too easy to overlook. The bullying shapes you in ways you don't understand yet. You're not just shy anymore. You're guarded, always checking corners, listening for Michael's footsteps. You start eating lunch in the art room, telling the teacher you're working on a project. You avoid the cafeteria, the hallways where Michael's crew roams. Your grades stay high, but your smiles are rare, your laughter even rarer. You're surviving, but it's a lonely kind of survival, like a tree growing in a storm, bent but still standing. You don't know it, but this is the forge, the fire that's starting to shape you. Michael's cruelty, Susan's blindness, Robert's distance, they're the hammer, the heat, the pressure. And you're the iron, not breaking, not yet, but changing, hardening, waiting for the moment you'll strike back. You're not there yet, though. For now, you're just a kid carrying a backpack full of ruined homework and a heart full of unspoken hurt. You lie awake at night, replaying Michael's words, wondering what you did to deserve this. You don't have answers, but you have something else, a spark small but stubborn, buried deep. It's not hope, not exactly. It's defiance, a whisper that says you won't let him win. You don't know how or when, but you know you'll find a way. For now you close your eyes, pull the blanket tight, and dream of a day when you're not the loser, not the target, but the one who stands tall. The air in high school feels different, thicker, like the world's holding its breath for something to break. You're a freshman, now still lanky, still stuck with those glasses that slide down your nose, but you're starting to notice the way people move, the way power shifts in a glance or a laugh. Michael's a year behind, but he's already got the sophomore crowd eating out of his hand. Jocks, cheerleaders, even the stoners who hang out by the dumpster. He's louder now, his cruelty sharper, like he's honed it into a blade just for you. The hallway's a gauntlet, and you're the target, dodging his smirks and the snickers of his crew. But it's not just school anymore. It's home, It's everywhere, and the weight of it is starting to crack something inside you. One October afternoon, you're in the art room sketching a dragon's wing when Michael and his buddies barge in. The teacher's out, and before you can hide your sketchbook, Michael snatches it, holding it up like a trophy. "Look at this nerd crap," he says, flipping through pages, tearing one out a night you spent hours on. His friends laugh, and you lunge for the book, but he tosses it to a buddy who rips another page. You're shaking not just with anger, but with something deeper, a humiliation that burns like acid. "Give it back," you say, voice low. But Michael just grins, leaning in close. Or what loser gonna cry? You don't cry, but you don't fight either. You stand there, fists clenched until they get bored and leave your sketches crumpled on the floor like fallen leaves. That night, you try to tell Susan. She's in the living room knitting a scarf for Michael's soccer team fundraiser, the TV droning in the background. "Mum, he's not just teasing anymore," you say, holding up the torn pages. "He's ruining my stuff, humiliating me." She glances at the sketches, then back at her knitting, her needles clicking like a metronome. "James, you know how Michael is. He's high-spirited. You can't take everything so personally." You want to scream that this isn't personal. It's targeted. It's your life. But her eyes are already back on the scarf, and you know she's not listening. You shove the pages in your backpack and retreat to your room. The door's lock long since broken by Michael's screwdriver. The bullying escalates each incident a little bolder, a little meaner. He spreads a rumor that you wet the bed, and for a week kids whisper, "Piss boy," when you pass. He swaps your math homework with a doodle of a crying baby, and you get a 0 your first ever. You start checking your shoes for thumbtacks, your lunch for spit, because Michael's pranks aren't just pranks anymore. They're traps designed to keep you small. You're not sleeping well, your dreams jagged with faceless crowds laughing, Michael's voice always the loudest. You're not suicidal, not really, but those words from middle school. Why don't you just off yourself, linger a ghost that whispers when you're alone? Then comes the day that changes everything. It's a Friday in spring, the gym class crowded and chaotic, the air heavy with sweat and teenage bravado. You're changing in the locker room trying to be invisible when Michael and his crew corner you. He's got a lighter in his hand, a cheap one he probably stole from a gas station. "Let's see if nerds burn," he says, flicking it on the flame, small but real. You freeze as he steps closer, holding it near your hair, the heat kissing your scalp. His friends are laughing, but there's an edge to it, like even they're not sure how far he'll go. You jerk back, heart pounding, and trip over a bench sprawling on the concrete floor. Michael laughs, flicks the lighter off and says, "Relax, loser, it was just a joke." But it's not a joke, and you both know it. You don't go to class after that. You hide in the bathroom, splashing water on your face, trying to stop the shaking. When you get home, Susan's in the kitchen baking cookies for Michael's team. You don't plan to tell her, but the words spill out raw and unsteady. "He tried to set my hair on fire, Mum." In the locker room. "That's not a prank." She stops, spatula in hand, and for a moment, you think she'll listen. But then she sighs, wipes her hands on her apron and says, "Oh, James, I'm sure he didn't mean it." You know how boys get carried away. You stare at her, the cookie's sweetness turning sour in your throat, and walk away knowing she'll never see it. Robert's home that weekend, a rare break from the road. You don't want to tell him either you're used to handling things alone, but he notices the way you flinch when Michael walks by. the way your eyes don't meet his. He corners you in the garage, where he's tinkering with his truck, the air smelling of oil and metal. "What's going on, kid?" he asks, wiping his hands on a rag. You hesitate, then let it out, years of hurt pouring like a busted dam, the diary, the stones, the rumours, the lighter. Robert's face hardens, his jaw tight, and when you finish, he's quiet for a long time. "That's not roughhousing," he says finally. "That's bullying." And it stops now. He storms into the house, dragging Michael from his room. Susan trailing behind, flustered. "Tell me about the lighter," Robert says, voice low, dangerous. Michael shrugs, all innocence, but Robert's not buying it. "You think it's funny scaring your brother like that? I ought to call the cops, let them sort you out." Susan gasps, clutching Michael's arm, but Robert shakes his head. "No more excuses, Susan. This is serious." Michael mumbles an apology, eyes on the floor, but you can tell it's hollow, a performance for Robert's sake. Susan tries to smooth things over, saying it's a misunderstanding, but Robert cuts her off. Enough. He's out of control. Later, Robert finds you in your room, sitting on your bed, sketching to calm your nerves. He sits beside you, the mattress creaking under his weight, and for once, he's not distracted, not halfway out the door. "I didn't know it was this bad," he says, voice rough but soft. "Why didn't you tell me?" You shrug, because how do you explain years of silence? Years of thinking no one would care. "I'm here now," he says, "and it's not a fix, not a cure, but it's something. For the first time, you feel seen, like your pain matters." He promises to keep an eye on Michael to make sure it doesn't happen again. And though you're not sure he can stop it, you believe he'll try. The lighter incident leaves a scar, not on your skin, but deeper, a mark that shapes the way you see Michael, Susan, even yourself. You're not just the quiet kid anymore. You're the one who survived, who stood up, even if it was just by telling the truth. Michael's quieter for a while, wary of Robert's wrath. But you know it's not over. His eyes still glint with that old malice, waiting for a chance to strike. Susan's still in denial, baking extra cookies for Michael, as if sugar can erase what happened. But Robert's different now, checking in when he's home, asking about your sketches, your grades. It's not perfect, but it's a lifeline, a thread you cling to as the storm of Michael's bullying rumbles on, quieter but never gone. You're starting to realize you can't wait for someone else to save you. You'll have to do it yourself. And that thought, small as it is, feels like the first spark of something new, something strong. Robert's promise to rein in Michael feels like a shield, flimsy but real. And you hold on to it as you navigate the rest of high school. You're a sophomore now, still the lanky kid with glasses, but there's a quiet resolve in you, a seed planted in that garage conversation. Michael's wary, his taunts less frequent when Robert's around, but he's not done. He's just sneakier, striking when no one's watching, tripping you in the hall, whispering "loser" as he passes, his smirk, a constant reminder that he's waiting for you to break. You don't break though, not anymore. You're learning to bend, to dodge, to keep moving. And then Robert throws you a lifeline that changes everything. It's a Saturday. Robert's home for once, tinkering in the garage while you mow the lawn. He calls you over, wiping grease from his hands, and says, "Kid, you're tough, but you're letting these punks walk all over you. Ever thought about fighting back?" You blink, unsure if he means fists or something else. He grins, rough but warm, not just with words. Real strength. "There's an MMA gym downtown. I'll pay for a month." See if it's your thing. You're not a fighter. Your idea of a workout is carrying library books, but the idea of standing up to Michael, of not feeling small, lights something in you. You nod, and by Monday, you're stepping into a gym that smells of sweat and rubber mats, feeling like a fish in a shark tank. The first class is brutal. You're awkward, all elbows and knees, tripping over your own feet, as the coach, a grizzled guy named Tony, barks instructions. Your classmates, tattooed guys, and wiry women move like they were born for this, while you struggle to throw a punch without wincing. But you keep going, showing up 3 nights a week, balancing gym with homework. You're not good, not yet, but you're stubborn, and Tony notices. You got heart, kid, he says, after you take a hit and get back up bruised but unbowed. You start to feel it too. A strength that's not just in your arms, but in your head. A voice that says you're not the loser Michael thinks you are. You're not looking for a fight, but Michael gives you one. It's a summer afternoon, you're 16, and you've been saving pocket money from a part-time library job for a new sketch pad. You keep it in a tin under your bed, $50 in crumpled bills, hard-earned and precious. You come home one day to find the tin, empty Michael lounging in the living room, a new pair of sneakers on his feet. You know it's him, no one else would touch it. Your blood boils, the years of stones, torn pages, and lighter flames flashing through your mind. Where's my money? You say, voice steady, despite the shake in your hands. He shrugs, smirking. What money? Maybe you lost it, nerd. Susan's in the kitchen, humming, oblivious. Robert's on the road. It's just you and him. You step closer, heart pounding, but not with fear. Give it back, Michael. Now! He laughs, stands towers over you with his athlete's build. Or what gonna cry to mommy? You don't think, don't plan. You just move the way Tony taught you. Feet planted, fist tight, swinging from the hip. Your punch lands square on his jaw, not hard enough to break anything, but enough to snap his head back. He stumbles, eyes wide with shock, and you're as surprised as he is. He lunges, but you dodge muscle memory from the gym kicking in and grab his shirt, shoving him against the wall. My money, you say, voice low, and for once he's not smirking. He digs in his pocket, tosses the bills at your feet and mutters, freak. You pick them up, every crumpled dollar a victory, and walk away, your knuckles stinging, but your chest light. Susan catches wind of it. She's in the kitchen when Michael storms in, rubbing his jaw, whining about James going crazy. She's on you in seconds, apron flapping, voice sharp. James, you hit your brother. What's wrong with you? You try to explain the money, the theft, the years of him taking. But she cuts you off. You're older. You should know better. Violence isn't the answer. You're about to snap when Robert walks in home early, his duffel still slung over his shoulder. Michael tries his innocent act, but Robert's not buying it. He stole your money, he asks you, eyes narrowing. You nod, showing the tin the bills. Robert turns to Michael, voice like gravel. You pull that again, you're out of this house. And Susan, stop coddling him. Susan flinches, but she doesn't argue, not with Robert's glare pinning her. Michael slinks off, and Robert claps your shoulder, a rare grin breaking through. Good for you, kid. About time. The punch doesn't fix everything. Michael's quieter, but his eyes still burn with that old malice his taunts now whispers when Robert's not around. Think you're tough now, huh? He'll hiss, passing you in the hall. You don't bite, don't need to. The gym's changing you, not just your body, but your mind. You're still lanky, still the kid who loves Tolkien, but you carry yourself differently, shoulders back, eyes steady. You're not invincible. Michael's words still sting, and Susan's favoritism still cuts. But you're not helpless anymore. You start sketching fighters now, not just knights. Their fists raised like yours, where each line a reminder of what you're becoming. School's easier too. Michael's crew still jeers, but you don't shrink anymore. You've got a couple of friends from art club quiet kids like you, and you eat lunch together laughing over dumb comics. Teachers notice your focus, your grades climbing even higher. You're not popular, not like Michael, but you don't want to be. You want to be you, and for the first time that feels like enough. Susan's still blind to Michael's faults, baking him cupcakes for every soccer game, but she's softer with you now, maybe sensing the change. "You're doing so well, James," she says once, and it's not an apology, but it's close. The power dynamics shifted, subtle but real. Michael doesn't touch your stuff anymore, doesn't dare. He's still the golden boy to Susan, still the star at school, but he's not your bully, not like before. You see him watching you sometimes, like he's trying to figure out this new version of you, and it's satisfying in a way you can't name. You're not looking for revenge, not really. You just want to be free to carve out a space where you're not defined by his shadow. The gym, the sketch pad, the library, they're your forge shaping you into something stronger, something Michael can't touch. You don't know it yet, but this is just the beginning. The first step toward a life you'll build on your own terms, brick by stubborn brick. High school grinds on, and the air between you and Michael stays charged like a wire waiting to spark. You're a junior now, leaner from MMA, your glasses still a target, but less of a burden. You've got a rhythm school gym art club repeat, and it's keeping you steady, even if Michael's presence is a constant hum in the background. He's not pulling stunts like the lighter incident anymore. Not with Robert's threat hanging over him, but he's not done with you. His attacks are verbal now, sly and sharp, delivered when Susan's out of earshot or Robert's on the road. Still think you're a tough guy nerd, he'll mutter brushing past you in the kitchen, his voice low enough to deny if you call him out. You don't engage, just let the words slide off your focus on the bigger picture getting out. Building a life where Michael's shadow doesn't reach. You're not naive though. You know the rift between you isn't just sibling squabbles. It's a chasm carved by years of his cruelty and Susan's blind spots. You try to bridge it not because you want his approval, but because you're tired of the wait. One evening you catch Susan alone folding laundry in the living room, the TV flickering with some sitcom. "Mum, can we talk about Michael?" You say sitting on the couch, your sketch pad idle in your lap. She pauses, a towel half folded, and you push on. He's still mean. Not like before, but it's there. "Can you help us figure this out? Maybe talk to him." You're not begging, just hoping. But her face tightens lips, pursing like she's tasted something sour. "James, you're both growing up. You can't expect me to fix every little thing. Try being more understanding. He's got his own struggles." Struggles. The word lands like a brick. You want to ask what struggles justify years of torment, but her eyes are already back on the laundry folding faster, like she's racing to escape the conversation. You nod, grab your sketch pad and head upstairs, the sitcom's laugh track mocking you from below. Susan's refusal stings, but it's not a surprise. You've known for years she's Michael's shield, his cheerleader, even when he's wrong. You don't hate her for it. You love her. Her cinnamon rolls, her quiet humming. But you're starting to see her clearly flaws and all. Robert's different, checking in when he's home asking about your training. even showing up to an art club exhibit, once clapping you on the back when he saw your dragon mural. But he's not around enough to mend what's broken, and you're done waiting for someone else to fix it. You turn inward, pouring your energy into what you can control: your grades, your punches, your art. You're not just surviving anymore. You're building brick by stubborn brick a version of yourself that Michael can't touch. Senior year brings a lifeline you didn't expect. You're in the guidance counselor's office flipping through college brochures when she slides a form across the desk. "You've got the grades for this, James," she says, tapping a scholarship application for the University of Illinois. "Full ride if you nail the essay. It's a state school, not Ivy League, but it's your dream urban, planning a chance to design cities to create spaces that work for people." You spend weeks on the essay, rewriting late into the night, your desk lamp casting shadows over sketches of bridges and parks. When the acceptance letter comes with the scholarship confirmed, you stare at it, heart pounding like it's a ticket to a new world. Robert's home when you tell them, and he grins, pulling you into a rare hug. "That's my boy," he says, and for once, it's you, not Michael, in the spotlight. Susan beams, says she's proud, but her eyes flicker to Michael, who's slouched at the table poking at his cereal. He mutters a congrats, but it's flat his gaze on his spoon, like it's the most interesting thing in the room. The farewell party is small, just family, and a few art club friends held in the backyard with burgers and a lopsided cake Susan baked. You're excited, nervous, the scholarship letter tucked in your pocket like a talisman. Your friends chatter about dorms and classes. Robert flips burgers with a grin, and Susan fusses over the table, making sure everyone's got a plate. Michael's there, but he's a ghost, sitting on the porch steps, scrolling through his phone. You try to include him, walking over with a soda, saying, "Hey, you gonna miss me?" It's half a joke, half a last-ditch hope, but he barely looks up. Whatever nerd he says, and goes back to his screen. You stand there, the soda cold in your hand, and realize this is it. The chasm's too wide, and he's not crossing it. You walk back to the party, the laughter and grill smoke wrapping around you, but there's a weight in your chest, a mix of freedom and loss. You're leaving, but you're leaving something unresolved, a knot you can't untie. As you pack for college, the house feels smaller, like it's shrinking under the weight of all those years. You fold your clothes, your sketchbooks, your MMA gloves, each item a piece of the life you fought for. Susan helps folding your shirts with care, her hands lingering like she's memorizing you. "You'll do great things, James," she says, and you want to believe she means it, but you hear the unspoken plea, "Don't forget us. Don't forget Michael." Robert carries your boxes to the car, his silence warm, steady, like he's proud, but doesn't know how to say it. Michael's nowhere to be seen, off with his friends, and you're not surprised. You hug Susan, her perfume sharp with cinnamon, and shake Robert's hand, his grip firm. "Call if you need me," he says, and you nod, knowing you won't not, because you don't want to, but because you're ready to stand alone. The drive to Urbana-Champaign is quiet. Just you and the radio, the Illinois fields stretching wide under a late summer sky. You're 18, but you feel older, forged by Michael's taunts, Susan's blindness, Robert's late but vital support. The campus looms ahead, all brick buildings and buzzing students, a world where you're not the nerd, not the loser, just James. You unload your boxes, set up your dorm, and tape a dragon sketch above your desk, a reminder of who you are. You're free, or as free as you've ever been. But there's a shadow, faint but stubborn. Michael, Susan, the family you're leaving behind. You push it down. Focus on the now. The chance to build something new. You don't know it yet. But this is just the calm before the storm. The moment before the world you're building cracks open, revealing betrayals you never saw coming. For now you're just a kid with a scholarship and a sketch pad standing at the edge of a life you think you can control, ready to draw the first lines of your future. College is like stepping into a new world, one where the air feels lighter, unburdened by Michael's shadow. Urbana-Champaign's campus is a sprawl of red brick buildings and leafy quads, alive with students who don't know you as the nerd or the loser. You're just James, the urban planning major with a knack for sketching and a quiet intensity that draws people in. Your dorm's a shoebox, but it's yours. No lock-picking brothers, no Susan smoothing over cruelties. You pin up your dragon sketches, stack your books, and feel a thrill like you're finally the architect of your own life. Classes are tough, but exhilarating. Your professors pushing you to think about cities as living things, systems you can shape. You're not the loudest in the room, but when you speak, people listen, and that's new, intoxicating. You find your tribe in unexpected places. There's Alex, a wiry comp sci major who shares your love of fantasy novels, and Priya, an architecture student with a sharp wit and a sketchbook to rival yours. You meet them in an art elective, bonding over charcoal smudges and late-night coffee runs. They're not just friends. They're proof you're not invisible anymore. You eat in the dining hall, laughing over bad pizza, and for the first time, you're not looking over your shoulder, waiting for a taunt. You still train at a local MMA gym, less for fighting now, and more for the discipline, the way it grounds you. Your punches are cleaner, your stance surer, but it's the confidence that sticks, a quiet strength that carries you through lectures and group projects. Then there's Emily. You meet her at a frat party you didn't want to go to, dragged along by Alex. The music too loud, the air sticky with beer. She's in the corner holding a soda, her dark hair catching the light, her smile warm but guarded. You're not smooth. You're still the guy who trips over words. But you make her laugh with a dumb joke about Tolkien. And suddenly, you're talking for hours, the party fading around you. She's a psych major, vibrant kind, with a way of listening that makes you feel seen. You swap stories, hers about growing up in a noisy family, yours carefully edited, leaving out Michael's worst. By the end of the night, you've got her number and your heart's doing something unfamiliar, something hopeful. Dating Emily is like discovering a new colour. You study together in the library, her psych notes neat, yours scribbled with bridge designs. You take walks along the quad, her hand slipping into yours, and you marvel at how easy it feels, how right. She's not perfect, she's stubborn, hates admitting she's wrong, but she's real, and that's enough. You tell her about your family, bit by bit. The favoritism, the bullying though. You soften it, not wanting to scare her off. She listens, her eyes fierce, and says, "You're stronger than you think, James." You believe her, or at least you want to. You're falling hard, and when you kiss her under a campus oak, the world feels like it's finally tilting your way. By senior year, you and Emily are inseparable. You're living off campus in a cramped apartment walls, covered with your sketches and her psych posters. Life's not glamorous. You're both broke juggling classes and part-time jobs, but it's good. Then just before finals, Emily tells you she's pregnant. You're stunned, your mind racing with fear and joy. But when she smiles, nervous but sure, you know you're in this together. You propose in your tiny kitchen, no ring, just a promise. And she laughs, tears in her eyes, saying yes. The wedding's small, just Alex, Priya, your parents, and a few friends, held in a park with wildflowers and a borrowed guitar. Susan cries, Robert beams, and even Michael shows up quiet for once, though his congrats feels like an afterthought. You don't care. You're marrying Emily, your soulmate, the woman who makes you believe in forever. Henry arrives a few months later, a squalling bundle with Emily's eyes and a grip that could crush your finger. You're terrified, you're 22, barely scraping by, but holding him, you feel a love so fierce it remakes you. You graduate with honours, land a junior planner job at a Chicago firm, and move into a small apartment with Emily and Henry. Life's a whirlwind, diapers, late night feedings, Emily's grad school applications. But you're building something, a family, a future. You imagine growing old with Emily, raising Henry to be kind, strong. Nothing like Michael. You call home sometimes, mostly to Robert, who's retired, now his voice softer over the phone. Susan sends baby clothes, her letters full of Michael's soccer wins, but you skim those parts, focused on your own world. You're happy, or as close to it as you've ever been. Emily's laughter fills the apartment. Henry's giggles a soundtrack to your days. You still sketch mostly for Henry, now dragons and castles he'll love one day. The gym's a weekend thing, keeping you sharp, but you don't need to fight anymore. You've won, you think, against Michael, against the kid you used to be. You don't see the cracks forming, the shadows creeping in. You don't know that Emily's late night studying aren't always at the library, that Michael's occasional visits to Chicago aren't just to see Susan. You're too busy building, dreaming, believing in the life you've fought for. The past feels far away, a bruise faded to nothing. You don't know it's about to bleed again, that the brother you thought you'd left behind is closer than you think, waiting to tear down everything you've made. For now, you're just James, a husband, a father, a man who thinks he's found his place, unaware of the storm gathering just out of sight. The Chicago apartment is small, but it's home filled with Henry's toys, Emily's textbooks, and your sketches pinned to the fridge. You're 26, a junior planner now, spending days designing pedestrian zones and nights rocking Henry to sleep. Emily's in grad school, her psych degree almost done, her laughter still the best part of your day. Your not rich bills stack up, and Henry's daycare eats your savings. But you're content, believing you've built something solid, something Michael can't touch. You don't see the fault lines, don't hear the quiet tremors. Then 3 years into your marriage, Emily shatters your world. It starts with a late night conversation. Henry asleep, the apartment quiet, except for the hum of the fridge. Emily's on the couch twisting her wedding ring, her face pale. James, I need to tell you something, she says, voice unsteady, and your stomach drops. She confesses to 2 affairs, one with a co-worker in your first year of marriage, a fling she swears meant nothing, and another with an ex-boyfriend, a one-night mistake during a conference. You sit there numb, the words slicing through you like glass. You've never suspected, never seen her as anything but your anchor. Why, you ask, voice hollow, and she cries saying she was lonely, stressed that it was never about you. You want to yell, to walk out, but Henry's soft snores drift from the nursery, and you stay. You love her, love your son, so you forgive her, or try to, promising to work through it for the family you've built. Therapy helps though, it's a slog, weekly sessions, where you unpack trust, hurt, and the life you thought you knew. Emily's remorse seems real, her apologies endless, and you start to rebuild brick by fragile brick. You're not naive, you check her phone sometimes, hate yourself for it. But the fear lingers. Still, you move forward, focusing on Henry's first words, his wobbly steps, the way he clings to you like you're his world. You're 30 now, promoted to senior planner, your sketches turning into real parks and walkways. Life feels stable again, or close enough until 3 months ago when Emily drops a bomb that makes her past affairs look like paper cuts. It's a Saturday. Henry, at a playdate, you and Emily in the kitchen, dishes clinking. As you wash, she dries. She's quiet, too quiet. And when you ask what's wrong, she sets down a plate, hands shaking. James. There's something else, she says, and the air turns heavy like before a storm. I've been having an affair. For years. With Michael. The name hits like a fist, knocking the breath from you. Your brother, your wife, the two people you've trusted most, or tried to. You stare at her, waiting for a laugh, a gotcha, but her eyes are wet, her voice breaking. And Henry might not be yours. The room spins the plate in your hand, slipping, shattering on the floor. You don't yell, don't move. Just stand there, the world you've built crumbling like sand. She spills it all, words tumbling out like she's purging poison. It started 5 years ago, during a Christmas visit to your parents' house. You'd stayed home swamped with work, while Emily and Henry went to Susan's. Michael was there, charming as ever, helping with dishes, playing with Henry. They bonded over old movies, shared laughs, and one night after too much wine it turned into something more. It wasn't a one-time thing. It continued, secret meetups when Michael visited Chicago, stolen moments when you were at work. Emily says she loves you, always has, but Michael was different, a spark she couldn't resist. She stayed with you for stability for Henry, but the affair never stopped. The paternity question, she's not sure, says it's possible, and the uncertainty is a knife in your gut. You don't cry, not then. You grab your keys, your wallet, and walk out, her sobs fading behind you. You drive no destination, just away, ending up at a cheap hotel on the city's edge, the kind with flickering neon and stained carpets. You check in collapse on the bed and stare at the ceiling, replaying every moment. Michael's smirks, Emily's late nights. The way Henry's eyes sometimes catch the light like your brother's. The betrayal is layered, a double wound. Your wife's infidelity, your brother's treachery. You've spent years escaping Michael's cruelty, building a life he couldn't touch, only to find he's been inside it, taking what's yours. Henry, your son, the boy you've raised, might belong to him, and that thought is a grief so deep, it's physical, a weight crushing your chest. You don't sleep that night or the next. You call in sick, ignore Emily's texts, her voicemails pleading for you to come home. You think about Henry, his crayons scattered on the floor, his giggle when you toss him in the air. You think about Michael, the brother who's always taken, always won now, stealing the heart of your family. You think about Susan, her blind favoritism, and Robert, the only one who ever saw you. You're not sure who you are anymore, husband, father, brother, or just a man betrayed, left with nothing but questions. You check your phone, see a photo of Henry on the lock screen, and the pain sharpens a blade you can't pull out. You don't know what's next, but you know you can't go back. Not to the life you had, not to the trust you lost. The hotel room's silence is deafening. broken only by your ragged breaths as you sit on the edge of a choice. You're not ready to make the future a blank page. You're too broken to draw on. The hotel room smells of stale coffee and cheap air freshener, a temporary limbo where you wrestle with the wreckage of your life. You're 30, but you feel ancient. Each betrayal, Emily's affairs, Michael's treachery. The question of Henry's paternity carving lines into you like a sculptor's chisel. You haven't spoken to Emily since you walked out 3 days ago, her texts piling up unread on your phone. You can't face her, not yet. Not when every thought of her is tangled with Michael. Their secret meetings. Their lies. Henry's the only thing keeping you tethered, his face in your mind. His gap-toothed grin, the way he calls you Dada. But even that's poisoned now. The possibility that he's not yours. A wound that won't stop bleeding. You need answers, not just from Emily, but from your family, the people who let Michael become this monster. You need to know how deep the betrayal runs. You drive to your parents' house, the familiar Chicago suburbs, blurring past the radio off because music feels like mockery. Susan's in the kitchen when you arrive, kneading dough, her hands dusted with flour. Robert's in the living room, flipping through a fishing magazine, his retirement quieter than his trucking days. They're surprised to see you unannounced on a Tuesday. But Susan's smile fades when she sees your face hollow, unshaven eyes, red from sleepless nights. "James, what's wrong?" she asks, wiping her hands on her apron. Robert looks up, magazine forgotten, and you don't sit, don't soften it. "Emily's been cheating on me," you say, voice flat, "with Michael, for years, and Henry might be his." The words land like a grenade, the kitchen silent except for the tick of the clock. Susan gasps, hand to her mouth, shaking her head. "No, that's not possible. Michael wouldn't." She stops, but you see it, the reflex to defend him even now. Robert's different, his face darkening, magazine crumpling in his grip. "What did you say?" he asks, voice low, like he's hoping he misheard. You repeat it, every detail Emily gave you. The Christmas visit, the meetups, the years of deceit. Susan's crying now, sinking into a chair. But it's not sympathy you want, it's truth. Did you know you ask her sharper than you mean? Did you see them getting close and just let it happen? She shakes her head, tears falling, but her silence feels like a half answer. And you wonder how many signs she ignored, how many times she chose Michael's charm over your pain. Robert's on his feet, pacing, fists clenched. That little. He cuts himself off, glancing at Susan, then back at you. "James, I had no idea. I swear." You believe him, his anger raw, mirroring yours. Susan's still muttering. It can't be true. And it's too much, her denial, a replay of every time she dismissed Michael's bullying. You pull out your phone, hands shaking, and call Michael, putting it on speaker. He answers, his voice cocky, like he's expecting a casual chat. "Yo, what's up, nerd?" You don't hesitate. "Tell me about you and Emily." You say, cold, deliberate. There's a pause, a shuffle. Then he laughs, nervous. "What are you talking about?" You push harder, line to trap him. "She told me everything, Michael. Years. You and her. Henry. You gonna deny it in front of Mum and Dad?" He cracks, his arrogance crumbling. "Okay, yeah, it happened. But it wasn't my fault. She came on to me, man. I didn't." You cut him off, the confession enough. Susan sobbing, Robert's face a mask of rage. He snatches the phone, voice like thunder. "You listen to me, you piece of trash. You're no son of mine. Don't call. Don't come near this family, you hear me? Michael stammers, trying to backtrack, blaming Emily, blaming you. But Robert hangs up, slamming the phone on the counter. The kitchen feels smaller, the air thick with grief and fury. Susan reaches for you, her hands trembling, and for once she doesn't defend Michael. "James, I'm so sorry," she says, hugging you, her tears soaking your shirt. "I didn't know. I should have listened. It's the apology you've waited years for, but it's bittersweet, too late to undo the damage." Robert's still pacing, muttering about teaching that boy a lesson, but he stops, looks at you, and softens. "What do you need, son?" he asks, and it's the first time you feel like his priority, not the afterthought. You don't know what you need, not yet, but you tell them about the hotel, the sleepless nights, the paternity question. Susan cries harder. Robert's jaw tightens, and you see them grappling with their own guilt, their role in letting Michael become this. You don't stay long. There's nothing more to say, not now. You drive back to the hotel. Susan's apology echoing Robert's anger, a small comfort. Michael's voice, that smug. "It wasn't my fault," loops in your head, fueling a resolve you didn't know you had. He's taken enough, your childhood, your peace, now your family. You won't let him take your future. Back in the hotel, you sit on the bed staring at the photo of Henry on your phone. You want to call Emily, demand more answers. But you're not ready to hear her voice, not when it's tied to Michael's. You think about Susan, her tears, her years of blindness, and Robert finally seeing the truth. The family you grew up with is fracturing, Michael's betrayal, the final crack. But there's a strange clarity in the ruin. You're not the kid who took Michael's punches, not the husband who trusted blindly. You're something else now, forged in betrayal, hardened by truth. You don't know what's next. Divorce, a paternity test, a life without Henry. But you know you'll face it, not as a victim, but as the man you've become, scarred, but standing ready to confront the mess and carve out something new from the wreckage. The hotel room's dim light feels like a cocoon, isolating you from the world as you grapple with the shards of your shattered life. Emily's betrayal, Michael's treachery, and the unbearable question of Henry's paternity churn in your mind, each thought a fresh cut. You've been here a week, living on takeout and bad coffee, your phone buzzing with Emily's please texts, voicemails all unanswered. You can't face her, not when her voice might carry Michael's echo. Henry's the anchor, his memory tugging at you, his crayons, his giggle, the way he'd climb into your lap with a picture book. But the possibility that he's not yours is a grief that hollows you out, leaving you raw. You know you can't stay in this limbo forever. You need to act to reclaim what's left of yourself, even if it means tearing apart the life you've built. You meet Emily at a neutral spot, a quiet cafe near your office, the kind with chipped mugs and tired waitresses. She's already there, sitting by the window, her face drawn, eyes red. You slide into the booth, your wedding ring heavy on your finger, and skip the pleasantries. "Tell me everything you say," voice steady despite the storm inside. She nods hands, twisting a napkin, and repeats the story, Christmas Michael, the years of lies. You press for details, needing to understand how you missed it. She admits to meeting Michael during your late work nights, passing it off as family visits. She swears she loves you, that Michael was a mistake, but the words feel hollow, eroded by her choices. When you ask about Henry, her voice breaks. "I don't know, James. It's possible. I'm so sorry." You nod, not trusting yourself to speak, and tell her you're filing for divorce. Her tears come fast. but you're done catching them. You leave the cafe, the bell above the door jangling like a final note. The paternity test is your next step, a decision that feels like betraying Henry even as you make it. You arrange it through a lawyer, a sharp woman named Claire who listens without pity, her office, a sterile contrast to your chaos. Emily agrees her guilt, making her compliant, and you provide DNA samples, yours. Henry's Michael's the last procured through Robert's insistence. The wait is agony. 2 weeks of sleepless nights, your hotel room a prison of doubt. You try to work sketch in park layouts, but your lines waver, your focus gone. You visit Henry once at Emily's apartment, and it's torture, his hug, his dada, the way he shows you a new toy truck. You smile, play along, but every moment is shadowed by the test, the truth it might reveal. You leave early, kissing his forehead, your throat tight with unspoken love. The results come on a grey morning, Claire's email stark in your inbox. You open it heart-pounding and read the words, "Michael is Henry's biological father." The room tilts, your breath shallow, the grief sharper than you'd braced for. Henry, your son, the boy you've raised for 4 years, isn't yours, not by blood. You sit on the bed, staring at the wall, replaying every diaper change, every bedtime story, every time he called you his hero. You want to scream, to break something, but you just sit, the pain too big for noise. Emily calls, her voice trembling through voicemail, begging you to talk, to stay in Henry's life. You don't call back. You can't separate Henry from Michael. Not now. Not when every glance at him would be a reminder of your brother's betrayal. Divorce proceedings move fast. Claire's efficient drafting papers that split your life with surgical precision assets, debt's no custody fight, because you're not Henry's father. Emily doesn't contest much, her guilt a shadow over every meeting. You sign the final papers in Claire's office, your signature shaky, the pen heavy. Emily's there, silent, her eyes pleading, but you don't look at her. The judge approves it, and just like that, you're no longer a husband, no longer a father. You move out of the hotel into a bachelor pad in a quieter part of Chicago, a 1-bedroom with bare walls and a view of a parking lot. It's not home, not yet, but it's yours, a blank slate you can shape without Michael's fingerprints. You cut contact with Emily, blocking her number, her emails. She sends a letter once handwritten, begging you to be Henry's dad, to not let Michael's actions erase what you've built. You read it, then burn it in the sink, the flames licking up the words. You love Henry, always will, but you can't be his father, not when every hug would feel like touching a wound. You don't hate him. He's innocent, a kid caught in a mess. Not his own, but you need distance, need to rebuild without the constant reminder of what Michael took. You delete his photos from your phone pack, away the drawings he made, each step a small amputation, necessary but excruciating. Your life shrinks to essentials, work, gym, therapy. You start seeing a counsellor, a calm woman named Dr. Patel, who helps you unpack the betrayal, the loss. You're grieving, she says, not just Henry, but the life you thought you had. You nod her words, a map for the pain, but it's slow work, untangling years of trust and hurt. You train harder at the gym, your punches fierce, each one a release. Work's a lifeline. Your park designs winning praise, a new project for a riverfront greenway, giving you purpose. You sketch again, not for Henry, but for yourself, dark, jagged lines that mirror your mood. You're not healed, not close, but you're moving step by heavy step towards something new. The world keeps turning indifferent to your loss. You hear from Robert that Michael's moved to Chicago, living with Emily and Henry playing dad. The thought churns your stomach, but you push it down, focus on your own path. Your apartment starts to feel less empty, a bookshelf here, a framed sketch there, small anchors in a sea of change. You're not the man, you were not the husband, not the father, but you're not the kid Michael bullied either. You're James scarred, but standing, learning to live with the weight of what's gone. The future's uncertain, a road you can't see, but you're walking it one stubborn foot in front of the other, ready for whatever comes next, even if it's just another day to survive. Your bachelor pad is a work in progress, a sparse space slowly filling with pieces of a new life. The walls are still bare, save for a single sketch of a bridge you designed at work. Its clean lines a quiet promise of structure of control. You're 30, single, childless by law, if not by heart. And the silence of the apartment is both a comfort and a reminder of what's gone. Work keeps you grounded. Your riverfront greenway project is gaining traction. Your boss praising your vision for community spaces. You train at the gym. Your punches sharper. Your body leaner each session. A way to burn off the anger that still simmers. Therapy with Dr. Patel is a lifeline. Her questions peeling back layers of grief and betrayal. Though the wound of Henry's loss remains raw, a scar that aches when you least expect it. You're building not a family this time, but yourself, and it's slow, deliberate work. Then Michael calls. It's a Thursday evening, your phone buzzing as you chop vegetables for a solitary dinner. His name on the screen is a jolt like a ghost stepping into the light. You almost don't answer, but curiosity or maybe defiance wins out. What do you want, you say, voice cold, the knife still in your hand. He's nervous, his usual swagger gone, replaced by a stammering plea. James, man, I'm in a bad spot. I need help. He's dropped out of college, working as a mechanic, living with Emily and Henry in a cramped apartment. Emily's pressuring him for child support, his car's breaking down, and he's drowning in debt. Dad's cut me off, he says, voice cracking. I know I messed up, but you're doing good, right? The inheritance, can you help me out? For Henry. The mention of Henry is a gut punch, and you grip the counter, the knife clattering to the sink. You don't yell, though you want to. Instead, you let the silence stretch, let him squirm. You stole my wife, you say, finally, each word deliberate like laying bricks. You stole my son, and now you want my money. He tries to interrupt, mumbling apologies, blaming Emily the situation, but you cut him off. You've taken enough, Michael. You don't get to beg now. He's crying a sound you've never heard from him, and it's strange, almost pitiful, but it doesn't move you. You see him clearly, not the golden boy, not the bully, just a man who's run out of charm and excuses. We're done, you say. Don't call me again. You hang up, your hands shaking, but there's a clarity in the act, a line drawn. He's not your brother anymore. Not in any way that matters. You don't tell Robert right away, but you call him the next day, needing his steadiness. He's furious, cursing Michael's nerve, and tells you he's changed his will, $2 million, his life savings, all to you, with a single dollar for Michael, a symbolic slap. He doesn't deserve you, son, Robert says, and the word son lands differently now. A weight of trust you've earned. Susan's struggling. He adds, missing Michael. but respecting the family's decision to cut ties. You feel a pang for her love for Michael a blind spot that's cost her, but you're done carrying her guilt. You thank Robert promised to visit soon and hang up the inheritance, a distant thought, less important than the man you're becoming. Michael's call lingers not as pain, but as a catalyst. You think about Henry, about the life he's living with Michael and Emily, and it hurts, but it's a cleaner hurt one you can name. You think about your own childhood, Michael's taunts, Susan's favoritism, and how you survived it not by luck but by will. You're not that kid anymore, not the one who hid from bullies or forgave betrayals for the sake of family. You're James, the man who punched back, who walked away, who's still standing. You don't want revenge. Michael's desperation is punishment enough, but you want justice. And that starts with living well, with not letting his shadow define you. You pour yourself into work, your Greenway project taking shape, community meetings, buzzing with your ideas. You sketch more dark abstracts, giving way to brighter scenes. Parks, skyline, places where people connect. Therapy helps you see the patterns you'll need to please your fear of loss. And you start to break them, small acts of defiance against the past. You buy a plant for the apartment, a stubborn cactus that thrives on neglect, and name it Tony after your old MMA coach. It's a small thing, but it's yours, a sign you're not just surviving, but living. The inheritance, when it comes, will be a tool, not a trophy. Maybe a house, maybe a fund for your future, but not a fix for what's broken. You don't need Michael's regret or Emily's apologies. You need the life you're building, one choice at a time. Each step, a refusal to let betrayal have the last word. 5 months later, the Chicago skyline feels sharper, like it's mirroring the clarity you're starting to find. Your bachelor pad is less barren now, a second-hand couch, a shelf of fantasy novels, a framed photo of your Greenway projects, groundbreaking all small anchors in a life you're reclaiming. Work is a bright spot, your riverfront Greenway nearing completion, the community's excitement fueling your own. You're 31, still in therapy, with Dr. Patel unpacking the layers of Michael's betrayal and Henry's loss. But the pain is less jagged, more like a bruise you can press without flinching. You're not whole, not yet, but you're moving, building, and that's enough for now. You've been spending more time with Robert, bonding over golf at a local course. His swing rusty, but his laugh warm. He's softer in retirement, less the gruff trucker, more the dad you always needed. Over beers at a dive bar, he talks about Susan, how she's struggling with Michael's absence, her kitchen quieter, without his charm to fill it. She misses him, Robert says, staring into his glass. But she knows he crossed a line. We both failed you, James, letting him run wild. You nod, not absolving him, but appreciating the honesty. You tell him about Michael's call, his begging, and Robert's jaw tightens. Good riddance, he says, and raises his glass to you, a toast to moving on. You clink glasses, the moment simple but heavy, a bridge between you stronger than ever. Susan's trying in her way. She calls, sometimes her voice tentative, asking about your work, your life. You keep it light, not ready to dive into the past, but you visit once, sitting in her kitchen, the smell of cinnamon still sharp. She hugs you tight, her apology unspoken, but in her eyes, and you let it be enough for now. She doesn't mention Michael, but you hear from Robert that he's in Chicago, scraping by as a mechanic, living with Emily and Henry in a rundown apartment. Emily's pushing him to step up, but he's floundering his charm, no match for diapers and bills. You don't feel pity, not exactly, just a distant satisfaction that he's facing consequences, that the golden boy's shine is tarnishing. Your own life is gaining colour. Therapy's helping you see yourself clearer, not just the victim of Michael's cruelty or Emily's betrayal, but a man who's fought for every inch of his peace. You're promoted to lead planner arrays, letting you trade your cactus for a few more plants. Your apartment feeling less like a way station and more like home. You sketch for pleasure again, cityscapes and dragons some for a local art show Priya organises. Friends are steady. Alex and Priya, now married, host game nights, and you laugh easier, your guard lowering. You're not dating, not ready to trust like that. But Dr. Patel says it'll come, and you believe her, or at least you're trying to. Then you make a choice that surprises even you. Robert's inheritance, finalised after his lawyer's tweaks, sits in your account, $2 million, a sum that feels unreal. You could buy a house travel, save it for a future you're still shaping. But one night, sketching under your desk lamp, you think about the kid you were, lanky, lonely, dodging Michael's taunts. You think about others like him, kids who feel invisible, who need a hand, not a fist. You call a local youth centre the next day, one you've passed on your commute. It's paint peeling, but its door's always open. You meet the director, a wiry woman named Carla, and propose a scholarship fund for bullied teens, art classes, sports therapy, whatever helps them find their strength. You donate $200,000, a chunk that stings but feels right, naming it the Rising Sparks Fund, a nod to the fire you found in yourself. The youth centre throws a small event to announce it, kids and parents crowding a gym that smells of sweat and hope. Carla introduces you, and you're nervous, not used to the spotlight, but you talk about resilience, about turning pain into purpose, keeping it vague but real. A few teens approach after, shy but curious, asking about your sketches, your work. One, a quiet kid with glasses like yours, shows you a doodle of a robot, and you grin, swapping tips, feeling a spark you haven't since Henry. You don't replace him, nothing could, but you see a path, a way to give what you needed back then. You leave the event lighter, the city's lights brighter as you walk home. Michael's out there struggling, but he's not your story anymore. Emily's raising Henry, and though the ache lingers, you're letting it go piece by piece. Robert and Susan are your family, flawed but present, and you're learning to meet them where they are. You're James, not the nerd, not the loser, but a man who's taken betrayal's blows and kept standing. You'll keep sketching, keep building, keep healing each day. A new line in a design only you can draw. The future's open, not a promise, but a possibility. And you're ready to step into it, scars and all, with a stubborn hope that's yours alone. The youth centre event lingers in your mind like a warm ember, a reminder that you're not just rebuilding, but creating something meaningful. Your apartment, once a stark refuge, is now a patchwork of your life, a thriving row of plants, a stack of urban planning journals, sketches of bridges and dragons mingling on the walls. You're 31 lead planner on a project that's transforming Chicago's riverfront. Your days filled with meetings, designs, and the quiet pride of seeing your ideas take root. Therapy with Dr. Patel is less frequent now, bi-weekly, but still a compass, helping you navigate the lingering shadows of Michael's betrayal and Henry's absence. You're not healed, not fully, but you're steady each step forward, a defiance of the past. You've settled into a rhythm with Robert meeting for golf or burgers when he's not tinkering in his garage. He's opened up more, sharing stories of his own regrets, missed moments with you, blind spots with Michael. I should have seen it sooner. He says one Sunday, slicing into a steak at a diner, his eyes distant. You were always the strong one, James. You shrug, uncomfortable with praise, but it lands a validation you didn't know you needed. Susan's calls are more regular, her voice softer, less defensive. She sends you a scarf she knitted blue, like the one you wore in high school, and you wear it once the wool scratching, but warmer gesture you're learning to accept. She's still grappling with Michael's exile. Her love for him, a wound she doesn't hide. But she's trying, and you meet her halfway, keeping the door open, but guarded. Word trickles through Robert that Michael's life is unraveling. He's still in Chicago, stuck in the same mechanic job, his apartment with Emily and Henry, a pressure cooker of unpaid bills and arguments. Emily's working part-time, pushing Michael to contribute, but he's floundering his charm useless against the grind of responsibility. Henry's 5, now starting kindergarten, and you hear he's bright, curious loves drawing like you. The news stings, a reminder of what you've lost, but you don't dwell. You've made your peace, or as close to it as you can, letting Henry live in a corner of your heart without letting it consume you. Michael's struggles are his own, a consequence you don't savor, but don't mourn either. He's a ghost, now a shadow you've outgrown. Your own world is expanding. The Rising Sparks Fund is thriving, the youth centre reporting more kids in art classes. Some joining MMA like you did, finding their own strength. You visit occasionally, not as a saviour, but a quiet supporter, chatting with teens about sketches or city designs. The kid with the robot doodle. Marcus emails you, sometimes sharing new drawings, and you reply with tips, feeling a mentor's pride you never expected. Priya and Alex are constants, their game nights a haven of laughter and bad board game strategies. They're expecting a kid soon, and you're genuinely happy, even if it stirs a faint ache for the family you thought you'd have. You're not ready to date, but you're open to it. Dr. Patel's gentle nudges making you consider the possibility of trust again. Work is your anchor. The Greenway project nearly done its paths and plazas bustling with families, joggers and vendors. You walk it sometimes alone at dusk, the river's reflection catching the city's lights, your designs alive around you. You're sketching more not just for work, but for joy, your dragons joined by cityscapes that blend fantasy and reality. You've started a side project, a graphic novel, about a planner who builds mythical cities, a quiet dream you're nurturing. The inheritance sits mostly untouched, a safety net you're saving for a house, or maybe a bigger donation to the youth centre. It's weight less about money and more about the choice. It represents your choice, not Michael's, not Emily's. One evening, you get a letter from Carla at the youth centre, handwritten thanking you for the fund. Enclosed is a drawing from Marcus, a bridge like yours with dragons guarding its arches. You showed me I can make cool stuff, he wrote, and you pin it next to your own sketch, your chest tight with something like hope. You think about the kid you were hiding from Michael's taunts, and the man you are turning pain into purpose. Michael's out there struggling, but he's not your story. Emily and Henry are a chapter, close their lives separate from yours. Robert and Susan are your family, imperfect but present, and you're learning to love them without carrying their burdens. You stand at your window, the city sprawling below its lights, a map of possibility. You're James, not defined by betrayal or loss, but by what you've built. Parks, sketches, a fund for kids like you, a life that's yours. The future's not a promise, but a canvas, and you're ready to draw on it, line by bold line. You pick up your pencil, start a new sketch. A city with towers like dragons, bridges that soar, and lose yourself in the act. Each stroke a step toward a life where you're not just surviving, but thriving. A man forged in fire, standing tall in the light of his own making. The Chicago winter bites harder this year, but your apartment feels warmer, a sanctuary shaped by your hands. You're 31, your life, a mosaic of work art, and the quiet strength you've carved from betrayal's rubble. The Greenway project is complete, its ribbon-cutting ceremony, a blur of speeches and applause, your name in the local paper as the lead planner. You walk the paths at night, the river's edge glowing with string lights, kids laughing on benches you designed, and it's a pride that runs deeper than words, a proof you can build something lasting, something Michael can't touch. Therapy with Dr. Patel is monthly now, a check-in to keep your compass steady. The grief for Henry and Emily softened to a dull ache, manageable but never gone. You're not running from it anymore. You're learning to carry it like a scar that tells a story. Robert's become a fixture, your golf game's a ritual. His stories of the road now mixed with plans for a fishing trip next summer. He's prouder of you than ever, his voice thick when he talks about your Greenway, your scholarship fund. You're a better man than I ever was. He says one evening, splitting a pizza at your place, the TV muted on a Bulls game. You shake your head, but his words settle a weight you're starting to accept. Susan's visits are less frequent, her health shakier, but she sends care packages, cookies, a new scarf, notes that don't mention Michael, but carry her regret in every loop of her handwriting. You call her weekly, keeping it light, but when she says, "I'm so proud of you, James," it's softer, truer, and you let it land, a bridge, rebuilt, fragile, but holding. Michael's life, from what Robert shares, is a slow unraveling. He's still a mechanic, his dreams of college or glory, long gone, trapped in a cycle of late rent, and Emily's frustration. Henry's 6, thriving in school, his drawings winning a class contest, and you hear it through the grapevine, a bittersweet pang. You don't reach out, you've closed that door, but you hope he's happy, that he's untouched by the mess Michael and Emily made. Michael's tried calling Robert once, begging for money, but Robert shut him down, his voice cold over the phone. "You made your bed," he said. And that was that. You don't gloat, don't need to. Michael's consequences are his own, a shadow shrinking as you step into your light. The Rising Sparks Fund is your quiet triumph, growing beyond what you imagined. Carla reports 50 kids enrolled in programs, art, sports, counselling. Each one a spark, like you were finding their way. You visit the youth centre monthly, not as a donor, but a mentor, teaching a weekend art workshop. Marcus, the kid with the robot doodle, is your favourite, his sketches now, bold cityscapes. His shy grin, a mirror of your younger self. "You think I could be an architect?" he asks one day, charcoal smudged on his cheek. You nod, handing him a book on urban design. "You can be anything, kid. Just keep drawing." His eyes light up, and you feel it, a purpose that fills the space Henry left, not replacing him, but different, vital. Your graphic novel is taking shape, late nights at your desk, the mythical city of Draconis rising from your pencil. It's a planner's odyssey, blending your love of cities and dragons, each page a rebellion against the past. Priya's pushing you to publish her enthusiasm infectious, and you're considering it a dream you're no longer afraid to chase. Friends anchor you, Alex, and Priya's newborn, a girl named Lila, brings you to their house for chaotic, joyful dinners. You're the uncle who sketches dragons for Lila's nursery, your laughter easier, your heart lighter. Dating's still off the table, but you're warming to it, a coffee date with a co-worker fizzling, but leaving you curious, open to what might come. The inheritance still mostly untouched is a question you're answering slowly. You've earmarked some for a down payment on a small house, maybe near the Greenway, a place to root yourself. But another chunk goes to the youth centre, a second donation to expand the fund, adding music classes and a tech lab. Carla hugs you at the announcement, her eyes wet, and the kids cheer Marcus leading the chant. You're changing lives, Carla says, and you shrug. But it's true, and it's enough. You think about the kid you were hiding from Michael's stones, and the man you are turning pain into possibility. You're not defined by what you lost, Emily's love, Henry's laughter, Michael's brotherhood, but by what you've gained, a city. You've shaped a community. You've lifted a self you've forged. One night you stand on the Greenway, the river dark and glittering, the city's pulse steady around you. You're James, not the loser, not the betrayed, but a builder, a creator, a man who's taken the raw ore of hurt and hammered it into something strong. Robert and Susan are your family, flawed, but yours. Their love a foundation you're learning to trust. Michael's out there, a fading echo. His choice is a lesson in what not to be. Henry's a memory cherished but distant, a love you'll carry without letting it bind you. The future's a skyline. You're sketching each line a choice. Each choice a step toward a life that's yours alone. You pull your jacket tight against the wind, turn toward home and keep walking, your heart steady. Your eyes on the horizon, ready for whatever rises next. Spring paints Chicago in soft greens and golds. The Greenway now a living artery of the city. Its paths crowded with joggers' families and vendors selling coffee from carts. You're 32, your name etched on a discreet plaque by the riverfront. A quiet nod to your work as lead planner. The project's success has opened doors, consulting gigs, a guest lecture at your old university, whispers of a bigger role at the firm. Your apartment's a true home. Now the walls a gallery of your sketches, from Draconis's mythical spires to real bridges you've helped build. Therapy's down to quarterly check-ins, Dr. Patel's steady voice, a reminder of how far you've come. Though the scars of Michael's betrayal and Henry's loss still hum beneath the surface. Less pain now than part of your texture, like grain in wood. Robert's your rock, your fishing trip last summer, cementing a bond that feels like chosen family. He's slower now, his knees creaking, but his laugh's as loud as ever, especially when you sink a putt on the golf course. You're gonna outshine us all, kid, he says, clapping your shoulder, and you smile no longer. Shine from the spotlight. Susan's frailer, her calls shorter, but she's found a tentative peace. Her love for you clearer. In small acts, a recipe card for your favourite cookies. A photo of you and Robert at the Greenway's opening. She doesn't speak of Michael, and you don't ask, but Robert shares scraps. Michael's still a mechanic. His life with Emily, strained Henry now 7 and excelling in art, a fact that tugs at you but doesn't unravel you. You've let go not of love for Henry, but of the need to hold him close, trusting he's okay, even if he's not yours. The Rising Sparks Fund is your legacy growing beyond the youth centre's walls. Over 100 kids are enrolled, their art and stories filling Carla's office, some heading to college with scholarships you've quietly boosted. Marcus, now 16, shadows you at work one day, his eyes wide at your drafting table, his own designs sharper, bolder. "I'm gonna build cities like you," he says, and you hand him a pencil. Let him sketch on your tablet. Your pride, fierce but unspoken. You teach more workshops, not just art, but resilient, sharing bits of your story. Never the full betrayal, just enough to show them they can rise. The kids call you Mr. James. Their trust a weight you carry with care, each smile a brick in the foundation you're building for them, for yourself. Your graphic novel Draconis is nearly done, a labour of love you've poured into late nights. Its pages blending urban planning with myth. Priya's connected you with a small publisher, and you're revising the final draft, your heart racing at the thought of it in print. Alex and Priya's daughter Lila is your unofficial muse, her crayons inspiring a kid-friendly epilogue for the book. You babysit sometimes, Lila's giggles filling your apartment, and though it stirs memories of Henry, it's joy, not loss, that lingers. You've started dating cautiously, a few dinners with a landscape architect named Sarah. Her dry humour and love of sci-fi, a spark you're not rushing but not ignoring. "You're kind of intense," she says on your third date, grinning, and you laugh, owning it no longer, the kid who hid. The inheritance is mostly invested, a house closer now, maybe a fixer-upper near the Greenway, where you can plant a garden and nod to your stubborn cactus. You've donated another $100,000 to the fund, adding a mentorship program, pairing teens with professionals like you. At the youth centre's annual gala, Carla gives you a plaque, your name beside Rising Sparks, and you choke up, not expecting the honour. You speak briefly about turning pain into purpose, and the crowd, kids, parents, donors, stands their applause, a warmth you've never felt. Marcus hugs you after his sketchbook under his arm, and you see yourself in him, the kid who found a way through. One evening, walking the Greenway, the river catching the sunset's fire, you pause at a bench, you designed its curve, perfect for watching the world go by. You think of Michael, a distant figure now, his life a cautionary tale you've outgrown. Emily and Henry are a soft memory, their absence a quiet space you've filled with new meaning. Robert and Susan are your roots, their love imperfect but real, grounding you as you reach higher. The kids at the centre, Marcus especially, are your future, not as replacements, but as proof you can give what you once needed. You're James, not defined by betrayal or loss, but by creation, cities, stories, lives touched by your hands. You pull out your sketchbook, start a new drawing, a tower with dragon wings rising from a city that's yours, and lose yourself in the lines. Each stroke a promise, a life built, not from what was taken, but from what you've made strong, unshakable yours. Summer wraps Chicago in a haze of heat and possibility. The Greenway now a heartbeat of the city, its plazas alive with festivals, kids chasing bubbles, couples sharing ice cream under your string lights. You're 32, your name synonymous with the riverfront's revival, your firm eyeing you for a director role. Your apartment's a haven, shelves heavy with books and sketches, a new coffee table scarred from Lila's crayon adventures. Dr. Patel's a voice in your head now. Her lessons internalized grief isn't a wall, but a river flowing, changing, carrying you forward. Henry's absence is a quiet current, not gone, but softer, a love you hold without clinging. You're not just surviving, you're thriving each day, a deliberate act of creation. Robert's your anchor, your fishing trips now. A yearly ritual, his tackle box rattling as you cast lines into a Wisconsin lake. He's greyer, slower, but his pride in you is fierce. His stories of your greenway told to anyone who'll listen. My boy built that, he says at a diner, pointing to a newspaper clipping framed on your wall. Susan's health is steadier, her calls longer, filled with garden updates and cautious hope. She sends a photo of you at the greenway's opening framed with a note. For my James who makes us proud. You hang it beside Marcus's Dragon Bridge, a constellation of your past and present. Michael's a faint echo, still in Chicago, still scraping by his life with Emily and Henry, a distant hum. Robert says Henry's 8A math whiz his arts still winning awards, and you smile glad for him, the ache a reflex you don't fight. The Rising Sparks Fund is a beacon, its reach growing 200 kids now, some in trade schools, others eyeing college. Marcus is 17, interning at your firm, his city designs bold, his confidence a mirror of your own at that age. You mentor him not as a father, but a guide, sharing lunches where you debate skyscraper aesthetics. You're my hero. Mr. James, he says once casual, and you pause throat tight, the words landing deeper than you expect. You expand the fund's workshops, adding coding and music. Your latest donation funding a mobile art van for underserved neighborhoods. Carla's your partner in this, her energy infectious, and when she suggests a citywide art contest for teens, you're all in sketching the flyer yourself. Draconis is out-published by Priya's Contact, a slim hardcover with your name on the spine. The launch is small, a bookstore packed with Alex, Priya, Lila, and a dozen youth centre kids, Marcus beaming in the front row. You read a chapter, your voice steady the story of a planner building a mythical city resonating with your own journey. Reviews a kind sales modest, but it's yours a dream made real. Lila demands a sequel, her dragon obsession your new mandate, and you're already outlining it, late nights fueled by coffee and possibility. Sarah, the landscape architect, is a steady presence. 6 months of dates, her laugh a spark you're letting grow. You're a lot James, she says, kissing you at a rooftop bar, and you grin, liking the weight of being seen. The inheritance is a tool, not a crutch. You've bought a house, a modest 2-bedroom near the Greenway. Its backyard big enough for a garden you're learning to tend. You keep the rest invested, a buffer for the fund for Marcus's college, for a future you're sketching one choice at a time. At the art contest's opening, the youth centre's gym is a riot of colour teen murals covering the walls, Marcus's futuristic city taking first. You speak not about pain, but potential, your voice carrying to kids who remind you of yourself, quiet, fierce, ready to rise. They clap, some hugging you, and you feel it, a legacy not of loss, but of light. One night, you sit in your garden, the greenway's glow visible beyond the fence, crickets humming. You think of Michael, a shadow faded to nothing, his choices, a path you'll never walk. Emily and Henry are a distant star, their light soft but separate. Robert and Susan are your roots, their love a soil you've grown in, flaws and all. Marcus and the kids are your branches reaching for a sky you're helping them touch. You're James, builder of cities. Stories, lives not defined by what was stolen, but by what you've given. You open your sketchbook, draw a city with towers, like wings, bridges that sing, and lose yourself in the act. Each line a vow to keep creating, keep rising, keep being the man you fought to become, unshaken, unbound, alive in the fire of your own making.